The nation of Israel was on the bank of the Jordan River. Behind them, 40 years of desert, rebellion, and divine providence. In front of them, the promised land, a dream of generations, now a reality to be conquered. But there was a heavy silence. Moses, the great leader who guided them from slavery to freedom, was no longer there. His successor, Joshua, faced a colossal challenge: to take the place of a man who spoke with God face to face and lead an undisciplined people in the biggest war of their lives. The inheritance was great, but the responsibility was even greater. God's promise was certain, but taking possession of the land would require unshakable faith. The book of Joshua is not just a story of battles. It is the saga of the passage from promise to possession. It is the story of a people who, for the first time, had to fight to conquer what God had already given them. The book of Joshua begins with the voice of God himself, who comforts the new leader and gives him his mission. No one will be able to resist you all the days of your life. Be strong and courageous. From that moment on, Joshua's trust in God becomes the engine of the entire conquest. His first action is strategic, sending 2 spies to the fortified city of Jericho. There, they find Rahab, a woman who, through her faith in God's reputation, hides them and saves herself, securing a place for herself and her family in the new nation. The story of Rahab is a powerful reminder that God's salvation is not limited to a single nation, but is available to all who believe. Joshua's next step is a miracle that echoes the story of Moses. The waters of the Jordan River part for the people to pass on dry land, an event that solidifies Joshua's authority and testifies to God's presence among them. After the crossing, purification rituals and the celebration of Passover are performed, showing that holiness is the first priority before any battle. The conquest of Canaan begins with the most famous of battles, that of Jericho. There are no conventional military strategies, only a divine command. For 7 days, the army of Israel, with the priests in front, marches in silence around the city. On the 7th day, they circle it 7 times, blow the trumpets, and the people shout. And before their eyes, the imposing walls of Jericho collapse. It is a miracle, a demonstration that the battle is not won by swords, but by obedience and faith in God's power. However, the sin of one man, Achan, who disobeyed and stole consecrated objects from the city, leads to Israel's humiliating defeat in the city of Ai. God's discipline is immediate and severe, but after the purification of the camp, victory is restored. The lesson is clear. Individual obedience is vital for collective victory. After the victory, Joshua leads the people in a solemn renewal of the covenant on Mount Ebal, reaffirming that they are under the law of God. The conquest continues with Joshua's victories over the kings of the south and, later, of northern Canaan, culminating in an impressive military campaign that subjects the entire region to the dominion of Israel. The story of Joshua is a powerful reminder that faith is essential. It challenges us to trust in God, even when the path is difficult and the promise seems distant. If this journey of faith inspires you to continue, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stages of our series. And don't forget to comment on your favorite story of overcoming in the Bible. With the land conquered, the second part of the book begins, focused on the division of the inheritance. Joshua, now an elder, supervises the sharing of the land among the 12 tribes. The division is done by lot to ensure that each tribe receives its portion according to God's will. Joshua ensures that the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh, who had already settled in Transjordan, received their portion, maintaining the commitment they had made. Caleb, the faithful companion of Joshua, receives the inheritance promised to him by Moses, the region of Hebron, even though it still needed to be conquered from giants. The cities of refuge are also established, where those who accidentally committed homicide could find protection. Joshua's concern for justice and order is evident, ensuring that the new nation is governed fairly and according to God's law. The work is not just about military victory, but about establishing a functional and holy society in the land. The book reaches its climax with Joshua's final speeches. Gathering all the people, he makes a powerful appeal for them to remain faithful to God. He reminds them again of the entire story, from Abraham to the conquest. His speech is a moving and warning-filled appeal, alerting them about the temptation to serve other gods. Finally, he places the choice before them, with one of the most iconic phrases in the Bible: "But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." The people renew their covenant, but Joshua warns them of the seriousness of their commitment. After the covenant, Joshua dies, faithful to God until the end. His final words are a reminder that God's faithfulness is unshakable, but the people's faith must be a daily choice. The story of Joshua is not just about the conquest of a land, but about the choice to live a life of obedience and faith in a world that constantly tries to lead us astray. The book of Joshua teaches us that God's promise is ours by right, but possession requires action, courage, and above all, obedience. The desert journey ended, but the fight for faith was just beginning. If you were inspired by this story of courage, faith, and conquest, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video in our series, where we will dive into the book of Judges, the story of a people who forgot to choose.